Hi guys, so today we had a little bit of trouble with rotating figures, so I just want to make sure that I can show everyone exactly how to rotate a figure properly using patty paper because I don't really have giant sheets of patty paper that I could use on the board. So I want to show you guys in this video. So the first one that we're going to rotate is a figure, a triangle. And it says to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise about 0, 0. So lots of information here. The first thing that I see that's major here is clockwise. And so clockwise moves in this direction, like a clock. So this is the direction that we're going to be rotating this figure in. The other thing it says is 0, 0. And it says rotate it about 0, 0. That means that 0, 0, which is right here, is our point of rotation. And you always want to put a big cross on your point of rotation. And the reason for that is so you know how many degrees you're turning it. And so that brings us to the last piece of information, which says 90 degrees. So 90 degrees is exactly a right angle. So that means that we are going to take this top piece of our cross and it should rotate clockwise until it gets to the right side of the cross. And that would be exactly 19 degrees. So you take your patty paper and just place it over the top of your graph completely. And there are two important things you want to trace here. One is your figure. So trace your figure. And notice I'm also labeling the points because when we label our new points, it'll be helpful to know which one is which. So trace your figure. I like to trace it on the back and the front of the patty paper so that copying it down afterwards isn't as hard. And I'll show you why that works in a second. Okay, so we've traced our figure. And then the second thing that you want to do is trace that cross or that T, because this is your point of reference and we need that. So if we're rotating it about 0, 0, 90 degrees clockwise, we need to keep the cross at 0, 0. This is our center of rotation. So I usually just put my pencil there and then use my other hand to turn the patty paper 90 degrees. So we're going to make sure that that top one goes to the right side. And there we are. So that is 90 degrees clockwise. And so now, since I traced it on the front and back, I can just kind of trace over this. And it should leave a little bit of an imprint, onto our paper. And so remember that this was A, this was B, and this was C. And so this becomes A prime, this becomes B prime, and this becomes C prime. And there is the image of our triangle. Okay, and today we are rotating lines to talk about perpendicular lines. And so we're going to go ahead and rotate this line that I have here. And we're going to rotate counterclockwise this time, about 0, 0. And again, it was 90 degrees. So again, that cross on the center of rotation is very important. And we're going to take our patty paper, trace the figure, okay, and like I mentioned before, it's helpful to double side that figure so that you can just leave an imprint later. I'm going to use a ruler here. Okay, so we have our line, our figure, and that we're rotating, and then of course your cross or point of reference. And this time we're going to take our pencil on the center of rotation, but we're going to turn counterclockwise. So counterclockwise goes this way, away from the clock. So turn, 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 until it goes exactly one time. And there we go. So there is a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation. And we should be able to just trace over this and get a good imprint. So let's see if we can do that. And there we go. And you can tell that it was rotated 90 degrees because these look perpendicular. And if you measured them, I'm sure it would also be 90 degrees. Okay, hope this helps.